Some other shit that went down this fucking week that was rather ridiculous, and this is the unfortunate case of people nowadays being all super trying to get some likes, get some follows, get their clout up, however you want to put it. Did you see the story about this chick that licked the ice cream?
What? And she's what?
Yeah, you didn't see it.
No. Well,
yes.
recently it's funny. So I was scrolling to the Twitters really quickly, and I couldn't tell if it was a cake. I couldn't tell if it was food. I couldn't tell what it was. But he was about to spread chocolate on it, and before he did, he fucking honked a big ass loogie. And I don't know why that was making the rounds a little bit. But so that's not the case. This bitch wasn't selling shit.
No, so this chick, she was at the store with a friend of hers, and she posted this on Instagram. She took here we go. So she took one of the ice creams and she like peeled the top off, and she licked the top of the ice cream, laughed, and then put the ice cream back into the fridge. So here we go. I'm trying to see if it'll play. So she got the Bluebell ice cream, and yeah, and so they're laughing, and she licks it, and then she puts it back in or whatever and all that. And they're like, oh, you're nasty. Oh, I can't believe you did that or whatever. Yeah, she's facing 2 to 20 years in jail for tampering with fucking food. You can't do that shit. It's fucking disgusting. Where has your mouth
you was
been?
About to defend her, bro. Cause I'm here trying to figure out how to hit this in an easy way, but hell yeah.
No, fuck her. Like, that is disgusting.
I mean, 20 years is a lot of time, but imagine this bitch had herpes. Or imagine, I don't know, like that's just, you don't fucking know. You know, I mean, mind you, racists on Twitter gonna be like, what if this bitch had Ebola? But I mean, Ebola. What if she did?
One of them African diseases.
Yo, no, where is this from? Do you know?
They were Texas, yeah.
Oh man, ain't that something? Arizona, Texas, Florida, but they got motherfucking flesh-eating disease out there, and the goddamn water. Of course, it's gonna be a bitch from out there.
It's always one of the three. That's always been my theory. Is anytime there's something wild, it's Arizona, Texas, or Florida. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So what's up?
No, I wanted to fucking say, because not too long ago, a few years ago now, because now that I think about it, it's been a minute since I heard about this and nobody gives a fuck. Blue Bunny or Blue Bell, whatever the fuck that shit was, they had some kind of outbreak of shit a few years ago where they had to recall all their goddamn ice cream. And the unfortunate thing about it, because it ain't like it's the most fanciest, you know what I'm saying, on some gelato shit that you get from a fucking Italian icery, but it cost a good amount more. Like, the way I base it is, all right, how much does it cost at Walmart? What's that store generic? Okay, so what's the equivalence when you double that shit? Okay, so you imagine that's maybe a second or third tier up. So if that were the case, I'd be pissed more often than, of course, be mad about catching some kind of fucking communicable disease, is that I paid good money for this shit and someone fucking done licked it and fucking put it back. And I guess, I mean, that's kind of a risk you run going to any kind of retail place, because, you know, imagine how many hands this shit has passed over. You don't know.
No, and as the story goes, so police identified the suspect as a juvenile, and she won't face the case as an adult. The original story, yeah, so it says the video shows the teen vandalizing some store ice cream with her tongue. A person is half cheering her on, half teasing her. You a fool, put it back, put it back. The tweet received 66,000 likes and 28,000 retweets and almost 9,000 replies. Something about this incident really struck a nerve with people. Consensus is they really want her called. As you can see, police want to arrest her for a second-degree felony. So yeah, it's considered a second-degree felony. And now someone had pointed out, which I thought was it made sense. Like, they were talking about the whole situation. They were like, the reason why this is such a big deal, and the reason why Bluebell was very big about, no, we need to catch this person or whatever. So the consumer tampering and all this is a big fucking deal, because going back in like the 80s or whatnot, before they started putting the cap on the top of like medicine and all that, there was a whole big Tylenol thing where somebody went and put some shit inside the Tylenol and a whole bunch of people like died. So like, this is a big deal. This ain't like some, oh, let me get some likes off of fucking social media, like full of shit. And then there was another one that came out. We'll see if this one gets as much of a uproar or whatever, but a trans chick was in like a CVS or something, and then they were like, oh yeah, you bitches with your stank breath, this is how I keep my shit fresh. And they went and they got the Listerine and they took the top off and they swigged the Listerine in their mouth and then spit the Listerine back in, closed the top and put it back. And then what is wrong with people?
And it was a trans person that did that?
Yeah, because that person, same thing, it went all over the fucking internet and all that. And then people were able to find the original post or whatever. And so she's been like battling, because then it turned into a transphobic thing. Whereas, oh, see, you mentally ill trans people, so on. And so it turned into some whole other shit. But it's another case.
That's a good way to combat shit. Weren't we talking about the dude from the Nipsey Hussle case? You know what I'm saying? Trying to check himself into a psych ward or some shit just to say, hey, you know, keep it in the back pocket.
It wasn't the trans chick. It's the people who were hating on her, saying that, oh, you got mental illness and so on and so forth. And she was like, no, they ain't got shit to do with anything or whatever. Fuck you, bitches. But so yeah, I don't know what's going on with Papo, and I think the overall arcing issue with all of this or whatever is we have a generation that grew up with social media, they grew up with phones and grew up with social media where they can post any and everything on social media, and they don't understand there's consequences to this shit. So now the girl with the fucking ice cream, do I want to see her get 20 years for licking some ice cream? No, but I want to see her get scared. I want to see them scare the public, as this is not something that we want fucking happening. Because like you said, somebody with fucking herpes can do this shit, and then you have a fucking herpes breakout. You have somebody who is sick with some hepatitis or some type of shit that you can pass around or whatever. Like, this could be bad. So you need to set the precedent that we don't accept bullshit like this.
I mean, there's been stories of a cat who had AIDS and he was knowingly passing that shit on. Like, some people have a fucking grudge, you know, against the world, and that's a fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That's some really shitty luck to have to come across that, all because, you know what I'm saying, you happen to, you know, get busy. But in the same essence too, like, I'm wondering, do you think they're gonna throw the book at this bitch then? Because why else? I mean, if they do want to make, you know, not to say a spectacle, but if they do want to make an example out of things, well then, wouldn't that be the best time? Or, you know what I'm saying, the best case? Because look, we got one. You know, we got one dumb enough to fucking put that shit online.
No, and that's why I'm imagining, like, again, I don't think that she's going to get 20 years. I think that's a little ridiculous, especially when you have that fucking white dude that just got probation for raping a 14-year-old girl on a school bus, and they were like, oh, well, he's been a good citizen and we don't want to ruin his life, so yeah, just give him probation.
You serious? I have not heard about that shit. And
it's so many of those fucking, the same thing with the Brock Turner kid or whatever his name was, the swim kid that raped the girl brutally, and then he got like a short sentence. It's common cases of that. Oh, these some good white kids, man, you can't punish them. So I say all that to say that I don't want to see her do 20 years or nothing like that for licking some fucking ice cream. It's not as crazy as a fucking rape, but I do think that they need to make a spectacle of this as a reason why, like, y'all can't be doing shit like this. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, again, we gotta, at least, especially if there's something that's popping online, well then we gotta make an example of it just so people know it ain't something to fuck with. But I think either which way, man, however you fucking tip the scale, people are gonna get fucking pissed, and it's gonna turn into it being a fucking race thing, or it being anything outside of the simple facts and you know what it should be.
Yeah, so damn shame.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't like this podcast, it's probably cause you're racist.
Yeah.
Fuck your feelings though.
Yeah. What's up, man? You hear me?